With us now via the phone is one of the nation's top political writers, Mr. John Fund. He's the national affairs columnist for National Review magazine. And Mr. Fund, thanks for being with us this morning.
A real pleasure. Thank you.
Well, John, you watched the second presidential debate last night. What were your takeaways and who won?
Well, it was a rock'em sock'em debate. I think that President Obama clearly improved on his dismal performance in Denver 10 days ago. But Romney made a withering indictment of the administration's last 4 years. And I don't think President Obama really was able to answer a fundamental question. How can he assure the American people that the next 4 years, if he's reelected, will be better than the last 4 years? I think the debate was muddled by the unfortunate intervention of the moderator, Candy Crowley, who basically decided to break out of her moderating duties and become a fact-checker, and frankly, a fact-checker who got it wrong. And I think that on points, the debate was relatively even. On style, I think that Romney lost some points because of that altercation with Candy Crowley, because the audience wasn't sure who was right. But President Obama looked a little angry, a little peevish, still looked as if he didn't really want to be there. And I don't think anything in this debate changes the basic momentum of this race, which is Romney is rising based on increased enthusiasm among his base, and Obama, the incumbent, is still struggling under 50%. And that's danger zone for an incumbent. So,
John, I want to ask you about Candy Crowley and the Benghazi questions in just a few minutes. But real quickly, both candidates are in a dead heat in the polls. And, the Obama camp went into this debate hopeful that it would be able to put a stop to Mitt Romney's momentum. The Romney camp was hoping to carry that momentum forward. You don't think Mr. Obama's performance last night is going to stop his hemorrhaging poll numbers?
Well, I don't think they're hemorrhaging, but they dropped significantly after Denver, and they show no sign of recovery. Next week's debate is going to be on foreign policy. I think we're going to be revisiting the Libya issue, and probably not to Mr. Obama's benefit, because we will know even more then than we know now. And I think this race is still very, very close, still within the margin of error, but Romney has the enthusiasm, and he emboldened his base at least as much last night as President Obama did.
What did you make of the tone of the debate last night? Both candidates were highly aggressive and confrontational. Will that tone help or hurt them with voters?
I think it helps them with their partisans because they want a fighter. They want someone who takes it to the other side. But at times it wasn't really aggressive. It was almost schoolyard, bullying. And both people interrupted each other. Both people they clearly don't like each other. And I think independent voters, more likely than not, they won't support either candidate. They might just stay home.
Now, in the debate last night and on the campaign trail, President Obama repeatedly resorts to his strategy of calling Mitt Romney a liar. Mitt Romney says the president's not being honest with the American people. Who are voters more likely to believe in? Who do they trust more?
Well, they're likely to believe neither, because they all think that politicians put the best possible spin on whatever they're saying, and they're not in the role of playing arbiter on who's the fact teller. However, I do think that President Obama can't run away from certain facts, which is unemployment is still way too high, the economy is growing way too slowly, and nothing that President Obama is talking about is likely to change that in the minds of many American people. So I don't think the back and forth really matters so much. What matters is the incumbent has a 4-year record to defend. He did the best he could last night. I'm just not sure it's good enough.
All right, let's turn to the moderator, CNN's Candy Crowley. Was she fair last night, or did she double-team Romney in defense of Obama, in your view?
Well, I've watched debates since 1976, and I have never, ever seen a moderator step in and basically take sides on a factual question. And what's worse, she basically got it wrong. She basically admitted that Romney was mostly right afterwards on CNN, and I think it's just an egregious violation of the rules. Now, you can't do anything about that, but it was just bizarre. It was a tag team. It was 2 against 1, and it threw Romney off stride, and I don't think it was kosher.
So is this going to hurt Mitt Romney?
Well, I think that it'll hurt the media because, supposedly these moderators are picked in order to be objective and not to tilt to one side. So Libya is not a crucial issue right now in terms of how people are going to decide how to vote. The economy and jobs still very much trump that. But it is very unfortunate for a moderator to inject herself into a situation like that. The fact-checking happens after the debate. That's what the analysis on the cable shows is all about. That's what is traditionally done. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody step out of that role and transgress that rule.
Now, Real Clear Politics this morning has 201 electoral votes for President Obama and 191 for Mitt Romney, with 146 up for grabs. I'd like to get your take real quickly on a few swing states and how you see them going lightning round, if you will, beginning with Ohio.
Ohio is very close. If there's one state where President Obama has probably been helped by the auto bailout by the government, it's probably Ohio. I would say Ohio right now leans very narrowly to Obama.
And Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is going to be the surprise swing state. I think it's going to be highly competitive. It's within the margin of error. Pennsylvania has more electoral votes than Ohio, so if Romney were to win Pennsylvania, he wouldn't need Ohio so much. I think Pennsylvania is too close to call.
And how do you see Virginia going?
Virginia, in the end, is going to vote Republican. I think a combination of the fact that the state is more of a southern state than anything else. The coal country is up in arms against Obama's environmental policies, and I think Mitt Romney is starting to reassure suburbanites in the Virginia suburbs.
And what about Florida? Does it go red or blue?
Florida looks like it's slipping away from Obama. Romney is building a significant lead in most of the polls, and Florida has traditionally voted Republican. In fact, since 1980, it's only voted Democratic twice.
John, last question for you. What can we expect from these two candidates these next 3 weeks?
A lot of ads, and especially in the swing states. And, of course, a final debate, which I think where Romney will try to cast doubt on President Obama's foreign policy successes. Obama last night said once again, Osama bin Laden is dead. But I think Romney's going to come back and ask him a very pointed question about, exactly how did Ambassador Stevens die and who's responsible.
All right, Mr. John Fund, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.